This is a Desert Shield PSA 9 Steve Sachs. And then this is a Julio Franco All-Star PSA 8. And then this is a Andy Benes PSA 9. The nines will definitely be part of the collection, especially as I mentioned before in a previous video. If they're not like star caliber players, and no disrespect to these two players, they were both good players, but if they're not like star Hall of Fame players with extreme amount of value, I'm happy to go with a 9. And actually, I have a lot of Hall of Famers that I only have a PSA 9. Because either that I can't afford the 10 or the 10s are really hard to come by. Now, with the Julio Franco, an 8 is usually not my first choice for my Desert Shield collection. However, I started to, usually what I would do is I would buy a inexpensive raw version of the card, and that would be sort of like my filler until I could get a PSA 9 or 10. But I've kind of changed my mind about that, considering my last experience with raw cards was somewhat a disappointing one. Basically, the cards came and it was really poorly packed, and the cards were in a top loader without a sleeve, and even if they were in card savers, they were without a sleeve, and pulling them out, it's kind of like, I don't think I damaged them, but basically I felt like they were damaged. And sure, I mean, they weren't expensive cards. They're like, dollar cards and whatever. But, basically a common Desert Shield goes for like $4 to $7, right? $3 to $7. But the thing is, condition to me is everything. And so I've decided, like, for example, I haven't been able to find a 9 or a 10, at least not one that I've been happy with the Julio Franco. So rather than buying a ungraded raw version, I'm just going to buy a lower grade. I think anywhere from 6 to 8 is acceptable. And I say that because I previously in the past, I had cards that I thought would get me an 8 or 9 come back as a 6. So sometimes a 6 eye appeal wise looks pretty good, like this one here. Like this eye appeal wise pretty good. The front centering is pretty good. The back is slightly off, but corners and